just to, and that should make us live. Karen, can you see us? And I know Karen was a former cast member, so I'm sure she'll have good questions. Did you work today?
Yes, I just came home a few minutes ago, actually. Worked until 6:30.
Oh, where did you work today?
So Mickey's PhilharMagic, Princess Fairy Tale Hall, and the Carousel.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. So fun. Oh, it was wonderful.
Make sure you grab your Opry classes.
I love it. So much fun. It's a dream come true. We have a international college program student who's today was her last day, and so that's the tough part is, you get to love these little college kids, and they're such good support, such good workers and good people, and then they go home. So
yeah, I'll have to I have some questions because my oldest was going to apply. Hey, Caleb. Hey, Karen. To the college program, but the dates were kind of weird. Like for them to drop in for the summer, it seemed like it went a little longer than summer, like it always was. It seemed like the blocks were odd, at least on paper.
Oh.
So
interesting. I don't know how any of that works. I just see people come in and go and that kind of thing. This particular one, today was her last day, and I believe she started in January. But I think international is different than the regular.
Okay.
So yeah, she's a good kid. I mean, so many good people come in and learn all kinds of things and teach us stuff. Like I met someone from Vietnam, someone from Nicaragua. I mean, just so many interesting places. And it's kind of cool to have them around and learn their cultures and ways and just get to know somebody from a different area.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know what you mean. When I lived in Key West, it was very transient, right? So people came and went all the time, and you'd make really good friends, and then all of a sudden they're gone, off to the next adventure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to start.
It's good.
Go ahead.
Oh, everyone enriches your life in some way.
Isn't that the truth?
No,
right?
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
That's why I love this this WDW group so much, because I've met so many. I mean, Andrew and I met virtually and started this and been doing this podcast on episode 31 now. So it's wild,
Yeah.
Just from logging on to the computer and making friends. It's really cool. That's why I love Disney so much, right? It just fosters that, it seems like. All right. I feel like we're wasting material. So all right. So, hey, guys, and welcome to the Mostly Disney podcast. I'm Tater, and I'm here with my buddy Andrew.
Evening, everybody.
And how is South Carolina?
It's getting warm. Summer's coming.
That's right.
It's supposed to be 93 here this week, so
ooh,
we'll taste of summer.
Well, we have a little taste of Florida sunshine with us tonight. Beatrice is with us, and I've looked at your last name online. And I just now realized that it says "be a Diz fan." I was like, "How am I going to pronounce that? Is that Portuguese?"
We're both trying to figure it out. We both had an aha moment.
It's actually not my true last name. I'm trying to keep, my real last name off of social medias and stuff like that. But "be a Diz fan" is my Twitter, my Instagram, all that. I have, email address with that, and so I've used it for many years just because it's kind of my first name, BEA, and then I'm like, well, be a Diz fan.
I love
that just sounds fun. So it's my fun little social media, my superhero anti-name there.
Well, and I seriously thought it was a real name, and then as I was talking to Andrew before we started tonight, I'm like, how am I going to? Oh, and then once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
So
yeah.
We're like, but Diz, we're like, wait a minute, that says "be Diz fan."
Yeah, and when I tell people how to spell it, it's kind of like Disney, but with a Z, and it's like you have to either know or you just or you don't.
Right.
That's
Like a
it.
license plate. You're trying to figure it out. What does that say?
Like
Yeah,
most Disney things, right? Well, my real name's not Tater,
exactly.
so that's not a real name. But I do have my real name, unfortunately, plastered all over. So I don't think I can hide anymore. I think I'm stuck. So I've made my choices. I'm going to live with it. And we
There you
know
go.
Beatrice from our WDW group, from Lou Mangello, who we just every week just tell everyone how great he is.
He'll
But
pop
he's
in from time to time.
that's exactly. He'll every now and again we get graced by his presence, but he really has built an incredible group on Facebook and with his podcast and everything he does. And so I've seen Beatrice post a lot of fun stuff, and she has all of our dream job being a cast member at Walt Disney World, which is what we all aspire to.
Yes.
Yes.
So tell us, this isn't something I meant to start, but I started a couple episodes. So tell us kind of your Disney story. How did you come to love Disney so much?
So my parents, as my mother loved to say, we're not Disney people. So she was a reality person. That was my mother's quote. I'm not a Disney person. I'm a reality person. So I didn't grow up with this kind of thing, but I just always loved it. I still have my very first Pooh Bear that my father gave me when I was a baby. And I
Nice.
took my very first steps with him. His little nose is worn out and everything. And I keep him close to me, especially in my office area. So he's my little, he's always been there. Pooh has always been close to my heart. And so it was either, Winnie the Pooh or teddy bears or Disney bears. I have a cat named Baloo who's named after the Baloo in Jungle Book. So I just love the Disney bears, but Pooh Bear is absolutely my favorite. My first trip was in 2000. And when I checked out of the resort to go home, I was in tears. Oh, it was just awful because I was an adult. The year was 2000. I spent so much time saving up for that very first Disney vacation. It cost so much money that I had no idea when I was ever going to be able to afford to come back.
Right.
And from that
Oh yeah.
moment on, I just wanted to figure out how to retire and move here and have a Disney job.
Now, where are you
So
from?
I grew up in North Carolina. So I used to work, I actually had 15 years in television. So I worked at Fox 30 or Fox 8 in North Carolina. And the reason I got to Florida was I worked at Fox 35. So
Oh,
I didn't come here to work for Disney, but the goal was to eventually retire and work for Disney. And I'm thankful that Fox got me in the Florida area. And then it was kind of a work in progress from there.
oh, that's so
So
cool. Where in North Carolina, if you don't mind me asking?
I lived in the High Point area for a long
Okay.
time.
Yep.
So that's furniture capital of the world,
Oh
Fox
yeah.
Yeah.
8 and stuff. Yeah, in the High Point, Greensboro, Winston-Salem market, and have a lot of good friends that are still up there. But I traveled down here a lot and loved it so much. And I just wanted to end up down here. And I'm thankful that after 30 years in the corporate world, I don't want to see spreadsheets anymore. I don't want to sit behind a computer anymore. I have friends that work in the corporate offices down here. We've got some offices in Celebration, and they keep telling me, look at the job postings. We need you in the office. We need someone with your skills. And I'm like, you know what? As I call it, I want to be in the front lines. I want to see the guests. I want to, tell them to have a magical day. I want to just tell them where to go to see the fireworks or the parade or, anything. It's just wonderful to talk to them.
I love hearing that because I was putting in when I was describing this, I was like, my wife and I, when we've had a bad day, we sit around and yell about how we just want to sell everything and move down there. And then when we have a really good day in the mornings, we're having coffee, we sit around and talk about how we want to move down there. And we've got it all planned out, and my whole life has been customer service. I'm actually not far. I mean, I'm in Virginia Beach. So I actually, in starting all this craziness, go down once a month, either drive or fly. So I mean, trying to be a long distance Disney content creator is challenging, but it makes it fun, right?
Yes.
But I'm in sales. I've been in the restaurant business. I love talking to people, right? So my goal is like, how many in your party? How many in your party? I could do that all
Yeah.
day and be excited to do it.
Exactly. Well, part of what I do is, exactly that. And you get to ask people, who's your favorite character, or who's your favorite princess, or, all the, we can see Cinderella's glass slipper, and then I'll see some kids with sparkly shoes. And I'm like, oh, do you have a slipper like that one? Just all these just random fun things that you can say. Kids are just the best. And so many times we learn things from the kids in the line. Like, sometimes when kids are in line together, and as they go through the process of the line, by the end of the line, you've got a kid from this family and a kid from that family sitting on the floor together, just talking and playing. And I mean, it's not ideal to be sitting in the floor and like that kind of thing, but sometimes it's hard to figure out who's with what party,
Right.
because they've made friends in line. Or I even do that, making friends in line. You just end up talking to people, and then all of a sudden you've got a new friend. So it's just so cool that it brings out a niceness in people, and not every place has that magical feeling that I get when I go to Disney.
No, it's so true. And that's what really, I mean, so my oldest made a pen pal waiting for flight of passage one time. It was an exceptionally long line. We were just stuck maybe by chance, although, as the Incredibles say, they're, coincidence, I think not, right? Put together in the right
Yep.
spot for the right reasons. And they wrote letters back and forth. I guess technically they Instagram chat, but still,
Mhm.
I'm an old man, so we wrote letters back and forth, and that's what I think of.
Me too.
Uh, but those are the things we remember, right? Like those little
Yeah.
tiny interactions are the ones we carry with us forever. That
Mhm.
I can think of a guy. He just happened to be from Virginia Beach, who took our picture for a photo pass over by Yak and Yeti, and it's one of the greatest customer experiences I've ever had in my entire life, and I'll
Yeah.
cherish it always because he was so good.
Mhm.
We
All
had
right,
I
one of
just
those
met
same moments at Sci-Fi here recently. The cast member and my daughter hit it off, and he had her laughing and cutting up. And of course, I had to leave a cast member a compliment, but she still talks about that dinner we had. And it was only a month ago.
yeah.
She still talks about it, but just the little tiny things. And my dream cast member job, boat captain. I'll drive a boat.
Boat captain, that's a good one. Yep.
Drive a boat.
I knew someone who did that. That would be great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
or like, and
And
that's
my dream job is to be a character attendant, and I just want to run around Fantasyland with Peter Pan and never grow up. But
That'd be like,
my favorite character is Pooh Bear, but yet my ideal job would be just to run around Peter Pan's Fantasyland, and just, Peter Pan and Wendy. That'd be great.
all right.
But
And look, if we ask the wrong questions, you can't tell us. Just let us know.
oh yeah, I would not say
Right.
anything.
It,
Just like any job, there are certain things that are proprietary that you
yeah.
can't, just mention.
oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
but yeah,
So
absolutely, it's just a dream come true.
So is that a difficult job to get? Like, I mean, do you have some choices of like where you want to go? Are you able to kind of maneuver yourself through the company that way and aim for places?
You can. I am actually on the wait list for it. And it's something that is a very, very long wait list, which is understandable. And I specifically want to work Magic Kingdom, because so many of our guests that come through, they call Magic Kingdom Disney World. They're
Right.
like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
they just call it Disney World. And we're like, well, which park? And they're like, Disney World. So I love Epcot is my favorite personal park to play in. I love the countries, but my favorite park to work in, I want to work in Magic Kingdom. And I love characters. I love to work with all of them, and that would be my dream. So but it's a process. Even when you put in a transfer, you can be on a wait list for a year.
Wow.
And so yeah, a lot of people like to move around in the company, and it's a great way to move up from college intern to part-time to full-time, to get your dream job and work your way through the ropes and all over the place and learn all kinds of great skills.
Wow. What do you think what's the most competitive job? What's the one everyone wants the most?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, it depends on if they want to go more the business route or the, entertainment route or, that kind of thing. A lot of people say they want to be Imagineers or, that sort of stuff. Or some people, I know some people who just dream of being friends with characters
Right.
and stuff like that. And I love to hang out with the characters, but it just depends on what kind of way your goal is to be.
So let's say
But yeah,
you're not trying to move too far up in the company. So like for me, if I ever was lucky enough to work there, it would really be to do something, in my retirement, right? But also to give back, right? Because I just love it, and I love what the parks have given me and my family, and I credit. I mean, maybe too much, but I credit it for my kids staying kids for a couple extra years. I
yeah.
mean, my son's a big, burly, he's actually in school in Jacksonville, so he's down there. But he just came home from school today, and he's just like, "Oh, I can't wait to get to Disney. I can't wait to get there." I mean, they all still love going, and it makes my heart really happy. But if you weren't trying to get into corporate or trying to be on stage or even an Imagineer, like if you were just going to stay in the park, is there a line for a couple of certain positions that just everyone wants to do, over like skipper, boat cap, jungle cruise, or something like that?
I hear a lot of people say they want to be bus drivers.
I would do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one. You just drive everyone around. You'd have to make sure that everyone has the correct accessibility to get in and off of the buses, and I wouldn't expect that you have overly guest interaction. You just say hi and bye as they're coming on and off, so you don't really have to um handle people who are upset sometimes, if they're waiting in line for a long time, or that kind of thing. So I don't know, I hear that a lot. But it just kind of depends on what your favorite thing is. Like for me, it's characters. I don't
Yeah.
um I love that kind of stuff. I love to hang out with them. I love to even, oh my goodness, I was off on Sunday and I went to the parks and I got to meet Lady Tremaine with Anastasia and Drizella because it was Mother's Day. So they had Cinderella's stepmom out. And so I, of course, went up to them and, start talking about how I have a new kitten and how do they handle Lucifer and like all, I'm just going up talking like I'm just a random guest. And one of one of the leaders that were with them recognized me and said my name, and I'm like, oh, okay. I am a big kid. So, but
We all
even
are.
just because I saw them there, I got so excited and jumped in the line. So,
I love it. Kira's and so Kira's in the comments, and she said Kira, I didn't even know you worked at the parks. How did we not talk about that? I feel like I know you well enough that I should have known that, and maybe I did, and it slipped my mind. And then Karen said she loved working turnstiles at MK.
oh,
And
fun.
I think that would really be a lot, because you figure walking in, well, I'm thinking straightly at the gate for magic bands, doing that. That's the first person you see or the last person you see, right? And that really, it can make or break your day, right? But walking in when someone's really excited to see me there, maybe they're waving that little Mickey glove, I get really excited because I just can't wait.
I love that.
How
I
often
feel
do
sorry
you?
for the turnstiles, because sometimes we'll get back to back people that have problems and they're just trying to
Oh,
keep a smile on their face and they got their hand up, and I'm like, you just went through 4 people with all problems and you're like, have a great day. And I'm like, I don't know how you people do that. I'd lose
yeah.
my mind.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about that. So, as a cast member, you really almost have to be on all the time, right? Because
Yeah.
whatever, look, I think we'd be kidding ourselves to say that my life is full of lots of problems, and Disney's a place where I can escape that for a little while, right? And even doing the little bit of like YouTube stuff that I'm doing, I was worried that I'd be going behind the curtain, right? That it would ruin some of the magic. And it absolutely does not. I'm just
No.
as excited to see that castle every single time I get there. But like bartending, I go into work and my job is to pour drinks and make people happy, right? And so it doesn't matter whether I've got rent due or can't pay a medical bill or whatever's going on. I've got to be on for those hours, and sometimes the job would be fun enough to make me feel better, even if I was faking it a little bit. I feel like I could walk in and clock in at Disney and be happy for a few hours at least, and maybe forget about what's going on outside.
Yeah. And for me, walking into the utilidor is something that I had always dreamed of. Just the fact that some people don't love that it takes extra time to work in the Magic Kingdom, because you park somewhere, then you get on a bus and it takes you in the utilidor. And so it takes extra time. And, if you're late, you're late. I mean, you still, it takes extra time to get there, but you got to get there on time.
Right.
So with any job, you got to get there on time. And, this is, a lot of the theme parks down here, not just Disney, but like Universal, and they all have like point systems. So, if you're late, there's that counts against your points or whatever, no matter where you are. So you have to be on time to any job. And from someone who worked a corporate job for a long time, like I never, some jobs you have time clocks, or some jobs you just don't, but it's just understood that you're going to be sitting at your desk working when that opening time comes along. So it's a life lesson for a lot of the newbies and the kids out there that are, just coming out of college. But for me, it's not a problem. I'm always there early anyway. So,
Right.
And going in the utilidor, where the most magical cast in the world. I mean, it's just, these signs just make you happy. You look around at some of the photos, and sometimes if I have extra time, I walk around there, and you see photos of like opening day or ceremonies, or pins and things. And some of you have maybe gone through the Keys of the Kingdom and seen a little bit of that, but it's such a special place, and that just kind of envelops me as soon as I get there. Even if I'm having a bad day, that helps me.
I love it. And that's got to be a sign, obviously of tradition, but some really good management too, right? Because it seems like it would almost, and again, I'm a total outsider, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost seems like it would be hard to work there if you just needed a job. Like to come into Disney, especially in anything you're in front of the public. Because even you walk through a hotel and there's a maid getting ready to clean a room at the Polynesian and she throws you an aloha. These little tiny things, and everyone, I get it, it's a job, but I do feel like most cast members go out of their way, no matter what position they're in, to just to do more than they need to, right?
Yeah, but they want to be there too. That's the big thing. Because I have people who work for me, and they're just like, it's just a job. But to work at Disney, you got to smile when you get out of your car, knowing where you're good. I know you get paper paychecks anymore, but to get a paycheck from the mouse, I think I would be smiling from ear to ear.
Right. I love that. Just does it for me. It really, really does. And it's so funny, because I had a guest ask me a question one time, and I answered them. And as soon as I turned away, I could hear her tell her husband, they trained them to be nice like that. It's so not true.
Right.
But I went and told my coordinator, and they're like, well, some people need more training. Because we all have good days and bad days. It's just, it was kind of a funny backstage joke. But yeah, it's just funny that, people actually believe that, if you work for Disney, your service level is up there, because people just have that in their head that Disney is just better. Like I have friends that went to Epic Universe this weekend, and they're like, okay, we can go back to our bubble now. It's great over there. It's thrilling. It's different. It's new. But there's just something about the feeling that you get at Disney.
That is interesting. And so we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I have not been to Universal since I lived in Florida, which was 96 or 7, something like that. So I have not. We keep saying we're going to go, and we are going to go. I want to go. Like I'm not like an anti-Universal person. I'm not one of those people. But even watching some of the videos and and I was going to bring him up anyway, but Jeremy Stein, I don't know if you know him from Main Street Magic, but his merch says "Be nice to cast members," and so whenever I wear that shirt at the park, they're all, it's always like I get a lot of high fives, which is nice.
Yeah.
But
We appreciate that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's fun, and they but he went to Epic and loved it, but again, kind of mirrored what you're saying. It's missing that magic, right? There's something. It's not necessarily bad. It's just different. It doesn't. I mean, and I don't know if that's the people, or like I say, the tradition or the training, or just something about walking through those gates that makes you feel that way.
Well, we walked
Honestly,
into Sapphire Falls, the hotel there at Universal. Of course, everybody said hello, but we walked in, it was just like, oh, this is kind of a letdown. This feels different. I know it's a 20-mile difference in traffic, but just when we walked in the hotel, it just didn't, like, we were waiting for this big, hey, and it was like, okay, it's just a hotel.
and you know what I think that is? Honest to goodness, and this is just me being me. I think it's in our head. We know we have Uncle Walt in our head from, Sunday night, 7 p.m. He created this. He wanted this to be so special. We can picture him walking through the park, picking up trash, saying hello. Like we can, all of that, I think, is what does it, because I know a lot of cast members, many people work in both places. So it's not the people, and a lot of the Imagineers go back and forth. They have a lot of people who have done Disney things that have created those Harry Potter Wizarding Worlds and, the Ministry of Magic and all. They have created the same things as the same people who've created, Beast's Castle and all of these things that we have. So I, honest to goodness, just believe that, and possibly people, make funny comments about this isn't Disney. We don't have to be that way here. So I think it's in our head. I really just think that it's our expectation that Disney is above and beyond service related. People will say, "Oh, what are you going to give me because I had, this happen or whatever." They just think Disney's supposed to, like, everybody's supposed to be walking through roses. And if anything bad happens to you at Disney, people are like, "Oh, I can't believe that something happened. It rained today." Just
Right.
whatever it is. Like, we don't have a bubble above our world. But we do our best.
And it's got to, I feel like it must be getting difficult. So it requires a lot of planning, right? Like Disney, and I love doing it. Like I really enjoy, making reservations. And like I was looking funny, Andrew, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. There's no sci-fi drive-in available for lunch while we're there. So now every morning at 6 a.m. I get up and hit that reservation and start looking. And I know there's a site, I can't remember the name of it. You can pay and they'll do it for you. But man, I like finding that reservation myself. Yeah. But I can imagine, and we did see someone who'd gone over to guest services, and gosh, they were trying so hard, but the people had kind of just stopped in to try to come in to do Disney Hollywood, and it's really difficult to stop by for a day. Like, I don't know if they were traveling up the coast and they said, "Oh, let's go by," like we joke about picking up a little magic, but it's very difficult to pop in for a day. And I can imagine if you're not prepared for that and don't understand it, that it could be very difficult to explain as a cast member to why you're not going to be able to get on Tron very easily,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, now there's a line, but before, when it was, you had to, do the 7 o'clock and the 1 o'clock, get virtual queues. And if you missed it, you missed it. It was over, Yeah. Tough.
And it's hard to tell people that, there are a lot of people that just don't live, eat, and breathe Disney like we do. And they just don't know. Years ago, post-COVID, but before I went to work at Disney, I was a travel agent for a bit. And someone just decided that they were going to come here on spring break. And they were from New York. They didn't know any better. And they actually drove in, parked at the TTC, went to the gate and thought they could get a ticket, and they paid for their parking. They didn't see the sign that said you needed reservations. And somebody told them to call me because they thought that I could help. And I said, "Are you at the gate right now?" And yeah, well, they told me here that they can't give me tickets because I don't have a reservation. And I said, well, I couldn't help either, and I
Right.
was trying to help them make the best day of it. And they did have a very good day. It worked out well for them. But back, decades ago, you could just come down on spring break
Mm.
and show up at a park and go ride rides and not have this massive 3-month plan out,
What
like,
and
so.
that's how we got started. Now I did
Mhm.
go as a kid like twice though. It wasn't something we did, all the time. But I do have fond memories of pirates and being a little kid at Disney. I think we stayed at a Holiday Inn somewhere between Tampa and Orlando because we would go over to Tampa and go to Wiki Wachi and do that and all kinds of stuff. But we literally started becoming a Disney family because my wife's a teacher, and it was like maybe 2 weeks before spring break, and she said, "If you don't get me out of this town, I'm going to kill us all. I'm just going to go postal." I mean, she was just at her wits' end. She needed to leave town. My twins were one. My oldest is 15 months older, so 3 kids in diapers. I made a hotel reservation, and we got in the car. No idea what to expect, and very low expectations though, right? Like I don't even know if that first year if we rode anything. I mean, I think the kids were free, so they were under 2, so it was just Kay and I paying for tickets, so pretty cost effective, and we just walked around the park and immediately made reservations for next year, and that was 18 trips ago, right? 19 years ago.
Sure. Oh, I
Um,
love it.
so it's much different now, and then the interesting thing and the thing that I really can't wait for is now going on my own sometimes without having to making sure we get all the rides. Like my wife and I
Mhm.
came down and we did Epcot and Animal Kingdom without any attractions. We just walked around and saw shows, but no rides, no
Mhm.
coasters, no standing in lines, and it's 2 of the best days I've ever had at Disney.
Isn't
And
it
I'm
great?
I'm thinking to
So,
myself, when we get down there, we could just go over after dinner and have a nice walk around the hub. I'm like, oh, I can't wait.
Oh,
so I was
yeah.
worried spring break was our first daddy daughter trip. So I
Wow.
told her, we're going to do whatever you want to do. We were going to Hollywood Studios and Epcot in Animal Kingdom. We were going to try to make it a Magic Kingdom and never made it. But by 12 o'clock every day, she's like, Dad, I'm ready to go to the pool. Back to Riverside we went, and back we stayed at the pool. That was probably one of the most laid back trips I've ever been on because it was on her schedule and her time and what she wanted to do, and I didn't care. I just
Well,
enjoyed being with her.
and that's what it's
That's
about, right?
that's what happened to me when I became a DVC member.
Ah, and you worked for DVC as well, right?
I did for a bit, yes, right in the beginning of COVID, yeah. So, but yeah, when
And
I became a Disney Vacation Club member in 2005, I just have never actually no 2000. 2010 I moved down here, but 2000 I became a DVC member at Old Key West, and absolutely that changed the way I did Disney because I knew that I could come back. That first trip in 2000, I didn't know the day that I was leaving was the day that I looked at Disney Vacation Club. So that's how I was like, oh, I can come back again. This is great. So,
and so you bought DVC then, or what year did you buy
yeah,
DVC?
it was then in 2000.
Oh wow, I wish we should we may have made a mistake not doing that.
Yeah, we did that too. We should have bought it a long time ago.
And we're staying at Old Key West next month for the first time, so I'm
Oh, good.
excited.
It's very nice. The rooms are a little bit bigger there. It's such a great property.
Yeah, I really should have bought DVC. I think I lament that sometime. But I can't go backwards. I've made
Yeah.
my choices. And I still may buy points at some point in time just to be able to have little staycations. Which I guess, do
Mhm.
you do that?
I do. Actually, in July, I'm going to Vero Beach for Friday through Sunday, because in June and July they do the turtle nesting and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So I want to see the sea turtles. So actually, this weekend I just booked a quick little $15 turtle walk. It starts at 9 o'clock and it goes to like 12 or 1 o'clock. It's done at a local park down there, so they'll take you to a loggerhead nest, and I've always wanted to see the sea turtles. So yeah, I have a little staycation to go there, and then in August I'm going to a staycation at Hilton Head because I have a friend in North Carolina who's always wanted to see that resort. And we
Hmm.
decided, you know what, that's going to be like a halfway point. So I'm going to meet her there. She'll see the resort. We'll have a couple of fun girl days, and then we'll go our separate ways. And we've met halfway and had a couple of days fun with a friend. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's great. So sometimes I don't do Disney, but I still love to do Disney.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great question. So my wife, before we had kids, traveled the world. She taught French.
mhm.
She used to go to Europe for 3 weeks until we had kids, and so we do want to do other travel. I swear, and my friends all think I'm crazy, but when it comes down to it, we end up right back at Disney. So being at Disney all the time, are you taking vacations that aren't Disney anymore, or
I do. That moving here allowed me to vacation elsewhere because I can see all the festivals. I can see all the things that happen here without taking a break the bank vacation, 5 times a year because I want
right?
to see the spring, I want to see the art festival, I want to see the flower and garden, I want to see the holidays, the Halloween, the Christmas, so I don't have to vacation here. I can see all the festivals. And so now I can go on other vacations. And I'm planning to go to Helen, Georgia this year to Oktoberfest because I'm German and have never done that. My parents went years and years ago, and their big um, beer mug is my iced coffee mug now. If I need an extra shot of caffeine there, I have my big beer mug for coffee. So, but yeah, it's just to be, seeing something different in my culture. And I just love that kind of thing. I've done an Adventures by Disney trip in Wyoming. I've done the California one where I went in Walt's apartment,
Okay,
and
that
I
that is
went
on my bucket
into,
list. I cannot
yeah.
wait. I really so my oldest kid just got an internship with Pixar. So
Oh,
they're I mean really
nice.
excited, and they're heading out
Yeah.
in into this month. So my wife and I are going to go to California this summer at some point in time. But I really wish I'd signed up for that with Lou and that ADB and done that because I really want to do that California Adventures by Disney. I mean, it just seems incredible.
Absolutely. I've got a trip next year planned for Paris where I'm doing a river cruise. It starts and ends in Paris, and then I am going to have a little bit of Disneyland Paris in there at the end. But so I mean, it's kind of fun to incorporate Disney wherever you go, which is something that I like to do. But in fact, I have for my Helen, Georgia thing, I have a German dirndl that is kind of Minnie Mouse themed. It's kind of red and white
Ah,
polka dot, and
That's
it's
cool.
truly a German dirndl that I got in Epcot in World Showcase. So I like to somehow find ways to incorporate Disney into other travels, but it's not always to Disney places, so that's fun.
I love it. Well, and Karen says Alani is great, and that will probably be our next, even though it's a Disney trip, our next big trip, because my wife has said if I don't take her to Hawaii, she's going to divorce me. I, I
Oh,
don't, I don't really think that, but she might be close. And then after that, we really want to go to Tokyo, but
yeah.
it becomes hard because I could go to Tokyo and just go to Disney and leave.
Mhm.
However, the expensive part of that, or the most expensive part of that, is getting there. And it would seem like such a waste to not go to Kyoto, to not go to northern Japan to see some of these things and really absorb that culture, which I'm just so fascinated with. Like, am I going to get back? I mean, it seems like I have to do it all at once, but then the price keeps climbing and climbing and climbing, and it just I don't know. It becomes very difficult. So
I would recommend if you do that to try to do the Adventures by Disney and see if you can get it incorporated into, the parks and the outside because they will take you everywhere you need to go and they will have an ambassador that speaks the different languages and gets you where you need to be and makes sure that everything is smooth, every you feel like you are like royalty on those Adventures by Disney because they just take such good care of you getting into places, getting to and from places, checking into different hotels, everything it is. It's wonderful.
Well, I've got 3 kids in college, so it makes it hard to
Yeah.
to swing the ADB, especially for all. If it was my wife and I, maybe I could put that together. But then
Right.
you had these other 3 kids, and I love them
Right.
so much. I got to take them with me.
Exactly. That definitely adds up. And then when you get into Europe, a lot of times you don't have more than 2 in a room. I found out as well. So you
Oh.
have to get more than 1 room in places, which really adds to a lot of things too. So definite valid points there.
But I can dream. I put it all on my dream board, and I visualize it.
Yeah,
I close my eyes and just tap my heels 3 times and figure something will happen at some point in time.
yeah, fun.
Do you, so I'm just out of curiosity, because I find this kind of stuff fascinating. I listen to a lot of Lee Cockrell and
Mhm.
and his son, and how they manage Disney. Do you guys have, like, I know you have training, but do you have, is there is there often training? Do you guys have a lot of meetings and trainings for customer service and what goes on?
It depends on the area that you're in. With
Okay.
what I do, I don't have a lot of different meetings like that, but a lot of times if something changes along the way and whatever it is that you're doing, you'll have an update on this. So we have a lot of, updates every so often. We get, kind of reassessed and that sort of thing, just to go through it again, make sure it's all fresh. Because sometimes if a certain situation doesn't happen a lot, then maybe you'll get out of practice or that kind of thing. There are audits, there are questions that people will ask that, you just have to know those answers. And, some of it might be safety related or, whatever the efficiency related, that kind of thing. So there's a lot that all angles of the cast member do, whether you work in offices or leaders or coordinators or just, attractions or all sorts of things. You have all sorts of things to remember in the 5 keys. So now we have 5 keys. There used to be 4, but it's such a good thing to teach in any business. The 5 keys that we teach and learn are safety, courtesy, inclusion, show, and efficiency. So when you think about it, safety is very, very important. So that's what we keep in mind first. And then courtesy, we want to be nice to everyone and include everyone. Make sure the show is good. You want your area to be clean and welcoming, and efficiency. I mean, just any business could use a lot of what we learned. So I think that the college program and the things that these kids are coming in here and learning, it teaches such good values for work ethics. So it's such a great place.
Well, and it's universal that, I mean, I've done hiring and firing, and a lot, but employers love seeing Disney on an application,
Mhm.
college program, or even if you work there for a summer. It's kind of like being an Eagle Scout, right?
Yeah.
It just translate. It's gonna put you, if they know anything about how Disney runs, then they're gonna be excited that you work there at some point in time, right?
It was
Which is
so important for General Motors. It was part of our criteria that we had to take Disney training.
Oh, that's
Everybody,
great.
even the porters that pull your car around at the dealerships had to take it. Everybody had to
Yeah.
take it. It's part of the criteria.
now,
So
and you work in Fantasyland, right?
yeah.
It's so you mentioned that earlier about Mickey's Philharmonic. When I was there a couple weeks ago, I had not done that in a long time since they redid it, and it is spectacular.
Isn't it great? Oh, I
That's
love
great
it.
with Coco.
I mean, it's really the Coco one. I did, because I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting it. I'm looking at it and going, "Gosh, I haven't done this in a while, but I don't remember." And then when Coco came on, I know I haven't seen it since then,
Yeah.
because again, even though my kids have always been relaxed, and because they know we're coming back, they're like, "How
Mhm.
long's Peter Pan?" 40. Well, we'll do it. We'll do it next time, Dad. They're pretty good about being very judicious about how we spend our time. And like Andrew said, they love to get back to the pool, because we could almost not go to the parks. Almost. I
We've
mean,
done that.
yeah, just staying at the
We've been-
resorts. They've made them
yeah.
so great that it's worth doing. But I was just knocked down by how good Mickey's PhilharMagic was.
Well, and it's funny, the other day I had some guests that asked, what is this? Is this a ride? People ask all the time, and I try to explain it. and it was two adults, and you can kind of gauge their faces at what they're thinking when you're explaining that, it's a 3D show that you'll sit in a theater, you'll get the glasses, it's got lots of fun music and great characters, and they're just kind of like, it's not for me, I don't have kids. And so I look at them and I said, and you get to sit down in an air conditioned theater for 15 minutes, and they're like, oh, you sold us. I said, the show is really, really great. But, sometimes you just kind of got to know your audience. And when I tell people that don't have kids, you'll get to sit down in an air conditioned theater. The music is great.
Right.
The different movies that come through, it's a 12-minute show, but you'll sit in a theater for 15 minutes and you'll be happily entertained. Then they're like, oh, you sold us.
And it really has with the new stuff even added in, it still gives me that feeling of when I was a kid watching the reruns of Mickey Mouse Club, when they would go to the cartoon vault and open it. It has that feel of Donald versus Mickey that I just loved as a kid anyway. So it transports me back.
It's so great. It truly is one of my favorites. And even, working there, I don't get tired of it. We see it a lot, but I still just really love it. And part of what I love about it is, if I am in the theater, I get to be in the back and I see some of the guests that are just so excited when things happen, like the kids that go Tinkerbell, or just they jump when the effects happen that they don't expect, and you just see their faces, or you'll see the parent looking over right or left to the kid, and to see the reaction of their child, and to see that makes every single show wonderful to me. Like I don't.
You say that, and it's so true. And I used to take the camera because I was born to do this video stuff. I just didn't know it. I should have started earlier. But I would take the camera and I didn't want to miss anything, right? But I would aim the camera at my kids and just film it, and then later on go home and watch their reaction videos of their little faces staring out, whether it was at SeaWorld our first couple years or when or the bird show at Animal Kingdom, they loved that. I mean, just watching their little faces is just because I miss those times so much. I mean, they're still great kids, but they don't let me carry them around. We don't do piggyback rides much anymore.
Oh.
So, all right. So you got the parents cooled off. What are you like? Do you have friends who haven't been to Disney, or what would you tell from a cast member's perspective to us on the best way to enjoy our day at the park? Things we should do that maybe the amateurs don't know or forget about.
I will tell you things that I have learned from people that I think are brilliant. Some people, when they get their strollers, you have those rainy days or that rainy 20-minute spurt that comes in. I've seen people go to the dollar store, get like a dollar shower curtain and cover your stroller with it. It's unbelievable. Just cover the stroller with a shower curtain. Just make sure that you clip it or something so it doesn't blow away when the wind blows. I've seen parents that put the Apple IDs on the stroller, and they're like, I know my stroller is 10 feet from here. So, that you can find your stroller. I've seen people put those on their children, like on their shoelaces or something, so that, if your child gets out of viewpoint for a second, you can, find them quickly and easily. Although we're great at helping with that kind of thing too, but we never ever want anyone to, take their eyes off a child, because it's scary even for that brief moment.
And we were outnumbered, right? There was 3 kids and 2 parents, and we started at 1. So we got a runner, we're chasing somebody down across Dumbo real quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So those are just those little Apple ID tags or air tags, those air tags on strollers or kids, or the shower curtains, or quick, easy, inexpensive ways just to keep the stroller dry, so that at least the child can be completely covered and dry when they get in there. Because rainy season, you never know. Every moment, like today, I thought it was going to be a sunny day all day, and we had a massive rain spurt that came through. It didn't last long, but that could really, if you don't want your shoes wet or whatever it is, it could be one of those things that those are just fun fun tips to just keep you in a better place the whole day.
Right. And make your day better and save a little
Mhm.
money too, which is doesn't always
Exactly.
happen. All right. So Caleb wants to know if you can tell us, I assume it's that big building across from Disney. Yeah. From Disney Springs, from the inside. Is it just offices or is it magical inside there as well?
Oh my gosh, it's magical. So that's the casting. Um, Inside there, it's actually inside is like a Swatch watch. There's like a sundial
Oh,
um
oh, on
inside there. And
Ah,
the pictures, the amazing things when you walk through there, it's casting, but I just love seeing all the pictures and all of the you walk into the building, it says casting, or you'll see, the seven dwarfs, or just that kind of thing, and it just gives you this amazing feeling, which is why I think we have it in our head that just Disney is above everything else when it comes to businesses and things. And when we go to other parks and other places, I'll go to other resorts and be like, oh well, it's not Disney. Like, how many times do we say stuff like that? So we just have Disney in a different level in our own heads. But it is magical in there, that whole casting building.
well, but you hit on that nostalgia. I mean, obviously, you're right. There is a Disney lens that I think, some kind of reality distortion that we have because my friends constantly, why do you go? Right? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't have a lot of Disney friends here, but then you'll meet them. Like last night, we had a show. Guy was wearing a Haunted Mansion
Oh yeah.
shirt, and so we started talking because two ducks in a chicken house will find each other, right? But I also see from a management standpoint, having run things, I feel like Disney empowers their employees to make some decisions, right? So a lot of times you'll
Mhm.
have employees, maybe a customer gets a flat beer in my industry, right?
Mhm.
And rather than the bartender being able to say, "Sorry, sir, here's your beer." Well, it doesn't look flat to me and I can't taste it. Just give them a beer. It's 35 cents. You're going to make their night. We had a balloon one year get lost off a stroller and I went back to buy it. I had my money out. It wasn't their fault. And they gave me a balloon. And I'll tell you, I didn't think about it. We were at Typhoon Lagoon and my water pump went out on our minivan. And so we had it towed. We were staying at Wilderness, got it fixed. And when I went to go get it, I asked if they had a shuttle and they gave me a piece of paper. They said, give this to the driver. Okay. Well, I got there and it was like an $85 cab ride or something. It's a long time ago. And I gave him the sheet and he goes, oh, you're good. Thanks. Disney took care of it. I'm like, well, let me tip you. He's like, nope, they tipped me too. We're good. I really appreciate it. And that, whatever they spent, call it $100, again, made me a fan for life. So it does seem like they empower you guys to make good decisions for customer satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
which is
There are different things that you can do in order to help situations, and different people have different roles and that kind of thing. And maybe you have to get somebody to do certain things, but sometimes you might know just a way to smooth over something.
sometimes a sticker will solve my problem. A little Mickey sticker, will
Yeah.
solve my problem and move me on my day just fine, which I think is wonderful.
I'm going to scoot out of lens here for a second. I just have to plug my computer in.
Oh, sure. Talk amongst yourselves. We'll have a little Mike Myers coffee talk.
discuss amongst yourselves.
Oh, a little verklempt.
Barbara,
I didn't realize that I didn't have it plugged in.
Yeah, and so see, Karen says the
I
same
didn't
thing,
realize it wasn't there.
and I feel the same way. Some of my best moments were always, to turn someone around who was so angry, and they're not angry at you, right? It rained on their one day in Magic Kingdom, or they didn't get on that ride, or it went down right as they were about, and they've got to leave and they can't come back tomorrow, and it's hard because we have the luxury of I can do it tomorrow, and there's so many folks who can't. I mean, my friend, is always my biggest piece of advice is pick one thing for the day you've got to do, and then do your best with the rest of it. Let some things fall into place. I walked in at Disney Hollywood, thought I was going to see a cartoon. I ended up, it was an Olaf photo pass. I just was in the wrong line, and I got a very awkward but loving hug from Olaf because I hadn't expected. And here's this big
Aw.
single guy by himself. A little creepy, maybe. Does that bother? Do vloggers bother you? Do you get tired of seeing people with cameras wandering around?
No, it's
There was a pregnant
funny
pause there.
because
It was a long, it was a pause.
How do you
it's
tell me
funny
you
'cause
don't
it
like
kind of
that with?
depends.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's funny because sometimes it depends on who it is or that kind of thing. Like some people just think that they're so important. So
Right.
when that happens, it's a little bit different. But sometimes if you see somebody walking into Mickey's PhilharMagic and they're live on Facebook and I'm looking at their screen and I see that there's a little red thing and there's, maybe people commenting and I always just kind of jump in and say hi to them too. So it kind of depends on the moment and how maybe it's the personality of the person, whether they think that they're just so high and mighty kind of thing, or whether they're just an average Joe that's just sharing the moment with people who can't be there. So that's where I differ in that whole situation, I think.
So every experience I have has been great. I've had cast members jump in the camera. Are you vlogging? What are you doing? I try to be as unobtrusive as possible, like to the detriment of my video probably, because I feel like my doing this, even though that's what I love sharing it and I want to do it, is secondary to someone's vacation, right? Like the kids come first and then parents and families and then me way in the back with my stupid camera talking to myself. It's much easier with my families there, right? Like when my wife can retire and go with me, we play off each other. And then it really is, that's really what I'm doing is family videos and then I'm publishing them. I don't, I'm not trying to get first in line, right up by the screen, a big camera. I really just want to present little days at Disney. So I try to stay out of the way, but I feel so awkward. I feel so weird doing it. Like I was just.
My thought today, when you said that originally, my first thought was the person that I saw on the carousel with this long selfie stick, which isn't even really allowed, but
right.
It wasn't even seen until they start moving and then they extend the thing out. And, you're trying to get them to bring it back in and rein it in a little bit. And you're not supposed to have that. And, but they know that it's not allowed and they try to hide that kind of thing. And so that's where it gets a little complicated.
Yeah, it's just, there becomes I guess, and I learned from Lou, right? I learned to be modest and giving, and that's what he does and why he's, I'm sure, so successful. And that's what I want to do too, because and some people love it, right? Some people are like, oh, do you have a vlog? They want to get involved and ask questions and that's great, right? But I want to be as invisible as possible while I'm in there. It's not about, I'm not trying to make videos of me, right? Like, does that make sense, I guess?
Yeah.
So but I always wonder, like the cast members going, oh, geez, here's another guy getting on the people mover with a camera.
No, it's wonderful when it's someone sharing the moment. It's just, if someone's personality is just, a lot.
Well, and I'm a little complicated. I'm a little Pollyanna, right? Like I'm a little, I like to be naive. So I did hear, though I've never experienced any negativity, that sometimes people's, like you're saying, personalities get in the way, but I liked until I see it, I'm just going to assume that everyone's wonderful and nice because I like things that way.
Yeah, I usually try to wave and say hi. If somebody's going by, just going, "We're coming into Mickey's PhilharMagic now. Oh, I'm gonna get my glasses." It's just so fun. Like it's just it's a fun little moment.
Well, and I watch them,
especially to know like where people are from. People from all over the world do that kind of stuff, so that's kind of neat. Like you could be, in London or whatever. All these people are from everywhere. It's so cool.
It is amazing. I've got someone who I interact pretty regularly through this with her dad, and they're in Alaska, which is wild. We had someone from Japan jump in the chat last week. That's amazing. For all the bad things that the internet has brought us, and like everything in the world. Again, at some point in some time in history, someone was telling their kid to put that Shakespeare down and get back out in the field. If you read one more book, it's going to rot your brain. The level of community you can build, where I do feel that people could be alone and can find a spot that's positive and not, trying to keep up with the Joneses, or I don't know. I love it. I have a lot of fun. I spend a lot of time on the internet, and my Facebook feed is just lovely. It's all nice stuff. I don't know what I did. I wish I should teach a class on that, because people complain about
There
their
you go.
Facebook,
Yes.
and mine's
My
great.
Facebook feed's all over the place.
Is it?
It's crazy.
Mine's pretty concise. A lot of Disney stuff. Imagine that.
I have a lot of that in cars and outdoors, and it's just my algorithm is all messed up.
All right, so I got one more question, and then if you have anything to tell us, please do. Is it? Are they hiring? Is it easy to? Could we go get a job right now? Is it a good time to apply for a Disney job?
I get updates like every single day because I like to see what what jobs are available. And then they even have Disney casting. They have, what is it? Casting scouts? Yeah, casting scouts. So sometimes if you're a cast member, you have little cards, and if you want to recommend someone, then if I know someone that I think would be a great cast member, and I give them my Perner number and my information, then they can put that in as their putting in an application. And I also like to tell people it's better if you already live here in Florida. So if you have an address or a PO box or something like that, they know that you're, able to start sometime soon. That way they don't have to think like, when can you move here, and that kind of thing. So if you are
Right.
looking to retire or move to Florida or whatever that kind of thing is, go ahead and get that done before you put the application in, if you can, just because it'll help them look at you more seriously. But it is just a wonderful thing. I am so thankful for it every single day. And there are so many fun little benefits of being a cast member that
Oh yeah, run through a
are
couple of
just
those if you can.
priceless. Oh my goodness. So there's a magic backstage kind of thing that every week they put opportunities on our casts app that we have. So our schedule and our paychecks and all these different things are on this cast app that we have. But one of the things is a magic backstage opportunity. So every week they select, it might be 20 cast members, or however many number that they're allowed to do in a certain tour or whatever. And I've been able to see Pandora's Flight of Passage backstage. So basically those backstage tours that they might be able to give someone, it's done for the cast, and it's like 6 a.m., before they open. So you have to get up and be there super early. You have to go in the cast entrance of Animal Kingdom or whatever, you have to show your credentials and all these things. But you get this backstage tour. So I've been backstage in Flight of Passage, and then just a month or so ago, I was able to do the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. So I got to go backstage. I got to touch the Falcon, like inside, where the entertainment usually is. And so we got to go inside that little brigade where they usually have the entertainers standing there for photos, and we got to touch the Falcon and see a lot of the fun things backstage is, how the details of the ride, the attraction, like how many people can be on it, or how many different things they might have, and the sizes of different things. So they give us a lot of fun, informative numbers that they give you all in the different backstage tours that you can take. Every year there's a cast appreciation party. So once a year it's backstage, and you'll go have lunch and take some fun photo opportunities. Working in the Magic Kingdom, we have the Utilidor. So sometimes it's almost like there's a little health fair, or make sure you hydrate. They're giving you little cuties, or telling you ways that that you've hydrated enough to be outside, or cooling towels that are appropriate that you can wear with your costume. Little squinters or different things to make sure that electrolytes and hydration, they're so very, very good to make sure that, are you okay? Do you need water? Do you need a squinter? Do you need something like, sometimes they have these little electrolyte pops, like freezer pops. So, the operations team for Main Street might come off of the parade and go get freezer pops because, it's hot.
Oh
So
yeah.
different areas have different ways of protecting their cast, but they're just so very, very good. And then every January they have the parties for people who have had 5 years, 10, 15, 20 and up, every 5-year services. During days like that, we have to, close out the park. And, I've had the opportunity in certain times to, when Splash Mountain was getting ready to close, they allowed us to go get one last ride. So we were able to, on our break, go, which we typically, in the Magic Kingdom, you can't do that kind of thing, go in
Right.
another area in costume. But when Splash was closing, they let us go over there in our costume, and we got to go and ride one last ride. And so I got a photo of me on the Splash Mountain ride in my costume on a boat to myself. So
That's
it
so
wasn't the last
cool.
day.
Right, but
Yeah,
still.
it wasn't the last day because that was, totally filled with guests and everything. But in the coming weeks before it was about to go, I got to ride the Haunted Mansion with the lights on. But see, certain times like that, you can't take your phone out. You
Right.
can't get that. I can't get the photo of me in the Haunted Mansion with the lights on, but I could see the way the walls were and all the effects and all the ways that they did the whole.
But I like
some of
that. I as much as I'm trying to make a business out of filming things and taking pictures of stuff. I love, something like Andrew and I had dinner and we were going to at Kona Cafe. It's the first time we met. We are going to do a dinner review. And I'm like, no, this is just kind of for us. Right.
Yeah.
I had dinner at Kumite and I just decided to just enjoy it. I'll come back, because then it's a work trip. Right now I have to go back. And maybe do something on it then. But it was such a special night. Why ruin it with that stupid camera, right?
My family doesn't like the
there are a
camera,
lot
so
of
when I
great
record, I kind of
experiences.
record by myself.
Say it again, Andrew. I'm sorry.
I said my family doesn't care for the camera, so when I record, I kind of record away from them because they don't want to be a part of it. Not that they don't like it; they just don't want to be in the videos.
We have had some salt treaty level discussions about when I film and what I do, and some growing pains with that. But I keep telling the kids, like, if you want to come, this is a tax write-off. So if you want to come more, then maybe you should be funnier on camera because it does make the videos better. I'm struggling on my own. It's so much better when my family does it with me. And it's more fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This is awesome. I mean, I'm an hour and 15 minutes. I told you, I never know how long it's going to take. I could still keep talking. And you are welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, it's tons of fun. I would love that. Yeah, it's lots of fun to be a cast member. It is my dream come true. Honest to goodness, it really is, and I'm just so thankful for it every day.
And how long have you worked there?
October the 1st will be 3 years.
So 3 years, and it's still magical, right? It's still amazing.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah. I remember just starting and looking at the fireworks like, I can't believe this is my job. I can't. And actually, I love to do the holidays. I don't have any family. So things like serving meals on Thanksgiving to cast and that kind of stuff. I love any opportunity to kind of be able to thank them for the stuff that they do, because I know some of them do have families and they're being there working, it's a special kind of thing. So, and I just found out today that I can volunteer myself to work July 3rd or 4th for the fireworks. And I'm fireworks trained. So I plan to sign up for either one or both nights because I love doing fireworks. Basically, crowd control for the fireworks. You put up the ropes and you make sure no one crosses it. But it's just fireworks are so special to me. So I love being a part of that.
It's amazing. And it's incredible. We did it for the first time this year in a long time, getting a position in front and standing in front of, 20,000 of my best friends. And I just had forgotten how moving they are, to be right there and watch the whole show and see the projections on the castle. I mean, it just makes you cry, right?
The thing that I think of daily, and I know it's going to sound so stupid,
Not to us.
but
No,
I truly
go ahead.
think of this daily is how important this day is, because today is somebody's only day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so
I mean,
true.
like every single day. It's not just another day. Every single day is somebody's. They've saved up for years. They've come here from India. Like, I mean, who knows? They've come here from wherever, and they've spent so much time saving. And you see there's entire family of parents and grandparents and little children, and like all these different whole families together. And this is the only day they have. So it's so important, and it's so wonderful. And I'm so thankful to be a part of it. I mean, to just be a part of their life for that one special day that's going to live in their life forever.
I love it. It's, it sounds like the best job I've ever had was working at a church summer camp, with 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds for the summer, and teaching them to swim and sail and canoe. And it really feels like working there is like that, because you're just adding this magic in every day. And who gets to do that? Who gets to put magic in someone's life every day? Beatrice does. Well, thank you again. I mean, this has been great. You can come back anytime you want, and we'll be down in June, so we'll come look for you to give you a high five in person.
Please do. I'll be looking for that shirt.
That's right. Yeah, I'll wear it. I will definitely wear it because it's so true. Check out Mouse Gears. I'm going to do the ending short. Please go by But Mostly Disney and watch the video. Subscribe to the newsletter, and come hang out with us each week and talk about Disney. Thanks, Beatrice, so much. So generous with your time. Really appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Karen, Caleb, everybody. Good night, guys.
Good night. Thanks for being here.